is recovering tonight after he was reportedly hospitalized in the Quad Cities after an emergency landing in Moline overnight. The entertainment website TMZ reports that Prince's plane landed at the Quad City International Airport just after 1 this morning and was taken by ambulance to a Quad City hospital. Prince's reps tell TMZ he's been battling the flu for several weeks and felt considerably worse after performing in Atlanta last night. He was treated and released 3 hours after landing and is now back home.
On April 7, 2016, Prince had supposed to have went to Atlanta for a concert, but he ended up being sick that day. And I wonder about the circumstances on this day. So this video is basically going to be about April 7th to April 15th. The media claimed that Prince had a flu and he had to cancel the concert. I find this awfully odd because Prince's album, For You, his first album, was debuted April 7, 1978. Now let's hear about what they say in the media, what happened, why Prince canceled.
Fans are waiting to learn the new date for 2 concerts postponed tonight at the Fox Theater because the performer is sick with the flu. Channel 2's Matt Belanger is live in Midtown. And Matt, you've been in touch with the theater about the rescheduled performances.
Carol, Prince was supposed to hold back-to-back performances at the Fox tonight at 7 and 10. I've been in touch with theater officials. Just about 5 minutes ago, they told me they're still working on figuring out the rescheduled date for both of those shows. But meanwhile, the musician's illness is no doubt disappointing hundreds of fans. Soon as we learned about that rescheduled date, we'll let you know right here on the air and also on WSBTV.com. We're live in Midtown Atlanta. Matt Belanger, Channel 2 Action News.
Matt, I feel for that fan from Texas because I actually bought tickets for one of the performances tonight. I wish him a speedy recovery, and I look forward to when he is able to perform in Atlanta.
Oh, too bad.
For me, this is when everything started, April 7th. It's like Prince had never really canceled too many concerts from what I've noticed as a fan. I've been a fan since 1991. So when I heard that he canceled the concert, I started getting freaked out. Here he told his co-author of his autobiography that he didn't have the flu, but he had flu-like symptoms. Dr. Schulenberg had went there April 7th and picked up Prince and took him to the doctor. Or Kirk took him to the doctor. There's 2 different stories, so I don't know which is which. So one, I heard that Dr. Schulenberg came to Paisley Park and took Prince to the doctor. The other one, I believe I heard they said that Kirk was the one that took him. On April 20th, 2023, I went to Paisley Park and I had an interview with somebody that said they were there at Paisley Park and they saw a doctor there. But what you told me on the 6th of April, how you came here and you saw doctors. Did you see like a stretcher or anything like that, or was it?
No, I think he was just trying to. He just wanted to get to Atlanta.
I often wonder if the contents of the bear bottle, did that start on that day? At this point, I'm not trying to deal with non sequiturs. All I want to know is when the contents of that bear and leaf bottle came about. Did it start April 7th? All we know is he had that bottle on the plane April 15th. Let's look at the April 7th text between Dr. Schulenberg and Kirk Johnson, Prince's friend / manager of Paisley Park. You can take a look and read it yourselves. After talking to the lady at Paisley Park, this leads me to believe that a doctor was certainly there and it was something wrong with Prince. Dr. Schulenberg even says that Prince doesn't look well. So there was definitely something wrong. But what? Did Prince actually have a flu? Or was it flu-like symptoms from opioid dependence? Yes, this is the same Dr. Schulenberg that they seen April 20th, just the day before Prince had passed away. During this time, I believe Prince was in withdrawal. That's the reason why he had flu-like symptoms, from what I could tell from my research. So this leads me to believe that April 7th is not when the pills had came into play, because if that was true, that means Prince would have possibly almost died around the 7th through the 15th. So I'm starting to believe these pills came into play maybe around the 14th or the 15th. Maybe he couldn't obtain the pills he was usually getting, so somehow somebody in his camp gave him the illicit pills from the street because they couldn't get any pills from a doctor. So therefore, they started bringing in Dr. Schulenberg because Dr. Schulenberg started putting pills in Prince's name starting on the 14th. But I'm going to get into that whole thing a little bit later. I'm also going to do a video about all of the pills and supplements that Prince was taking that whole month. In 2016, the DEA stopped a lot of doctors from overprescribing people. So whoever Prince was getting his regular pills from, he wasn't getting it from that certain person anymore. So that's why I believe this is when the withdrawal started. I'm not sure for now. This is just my hypothesis so I can try to figure out exactly what happened. I'm not saying that Prince is an addict. I'm saying that he was taking pills for pain only. And if you can take pills for pain, you can certainly still get dependent on opioids.
The allegations that I've seen, I can't say that he is a chronic abuser. I think that he was put on the medication for his injury. And when, you know better than I do, once you get on the medication, it's hard for people to get off. They get dependent on it.
Okay, so Ryan, I'm going to stop you. Do you notice you notice the language Ryan's using here?
Yeah.
He is saying, he is telling you that he doesn't see what I don't see, which is a lifelong of progression and consequences and all the usual manifestations of addiction. What Ryan said was that he got put on these things by a doctor, he gets dependent, and something cycles out. That's a problem. It may be addiction, but it's different.
Prince had a hip surgery with Robert Truesdale in 2010. At this time, we are not sure if he had a hip replacement or just a hip surgery, but we do know that Prince definitely had a surgery because in his autopsy, there was a scar on his left hip. There are numerous reports from friends, colleagues, and other people that says that Prince definitely had a hip surgery. So I don't understand why a lot of people are saying that Prince didn't have a hip surgery and hip problems when it definitely points to what had happened. So I went in the death investigation files and I looked up this Dr. Truesdale and I found out that he was prescribed oxycodone and he had an episode right after he got off the medication. I believe the hip problem is what started this whole fiasco of what happened with Prince starting to take opioids. Even his former wife, Manuela, said that Prince was indeed taking opioids for pain. And I believe she said it started possibly in 2006. I will be making a whole video about this hip issue, and I'm going to try to tie it all together because there's a lot of people not believing that he had hip pain. That is the reason for why he became dependent. And that happens to millions of people. You start having pain, you go to the doctor gives you opioids, or you had a surgery, and you start taking an opioid, and all of a sudden, you get dependent on it. Just like Dr. Drew said, Prince didn't show any signs of long-term use or long-term addictions. So I don't understand why so many people are getting upset when I bring this up. I guess it's because people don't understand addiction versus dependence. So right now, I'm just doing a little myth busting right now. There's a lot of myth busting going to be going on throughout this whole Prince investigation because a lot of people been saying this and that. They're not trying to learn. They're not trying to research. So they want to sit up and call Prince a junkie. Prince was not a junkie, people. He was not. It's nothing that tells us that he was. He never canceled concerts like that. His whole career, he worked like a dog. And plus, he was always going. He barely slept. This all points to the fact that this is a short-term thing that occurred and it went out of control. This is only my first hypothesis, but I'm going to be going through all of them. And I'm going to let you guys be the person to have your own conclusions from the evidence that I have brought forth. I am not a lawyer, but I'm just letting you guys know, and you be the judge, you be the jury, and you tell me exactly what you think at the end of the day. Please go ahead and read the Death Investigation File video right here, and we will get back to the subject.
Different than what you suffered from, right?
Yeah, the difference in my eyes between dependency and addiction is you're prescribed a medication, you take it as prescribed, your body becomes dependent on it.
Right.
For me, I wasn't prescribed it. I started abusing it, and it completely took over my life.
Right.
So the prescription is what differentiates between being an abuser and an addict? Can you explain that? I don't get it. I really don't get the distinction.
An abuser is just somebody who's, a user and abuser is somebody who's using the drugs along the way that are not useful, that are not safe, that are just to get high. Somebody who then develops tolerance and withdrawal is now dependent.
Come off these drugs,
who's supplying the drugs, Ryan?
It's the doctors.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
In Prince's case, it wasn't heroin, but it was fentanyl that came from a source that we still do not know who gave him those drugs. That is what I'm really doing this whole video for, to find out who killed Prince, who gave him that medication. I believe from the 7th all the way to the 13th, they could not find anyone to prescribe Prince the medication, so somebody went and got it off the street and gave it to Prince. They might not even know what type of medication that they was getting. All they knew that they was trying to get him something. Or it could be possible that he ordered it online. We don't know. If you read the files, it says that Phaedra Ellis actually deleted a lot of files and emails off of Prince's computer. So that's another angle. They might not have even known it was laced with fentanyl. They might not even known it was a counterfeit drug. You can look at the drug and you couldn't tell the difference. Prince couldn't tell the difference. He thought it was taking a Vicodin. He thought it was hydrocodone. But let's get back to Schulenberg and Prince. So he went to the doctor and he prescribed him Zofran, Valtrex, and vitamin D. These are the photos that were found at the crime scene. In the Zofran bottle, they found oxycodone. Kirk Johnson claimed that he had took all of the opioids out of Paisley Park and cleaned the whole place up. But it looks like Prince probably took the oxycodone and put it inside the Zofran bottle. I don't think Kirk Johnson knew about the pills that was inside of the jury box. I also wanted to mention how there was almost a full bottle of oxycodone right inside of the bottle. So if Prince was an addict, he would have used all of those drugs already. And plus, we can't find a bottle for the oxycodone that he received from Dr. Monka or the bottle from Dr. Schulenberg on the 14th. Prince rescheduled the Atlanta concert that was canceled for April 15th. So Judith Hill, Prince, Kirk Johnson got on a plane from Bloomington, Minnesota to Atlanta. Before flying to Atlanta, Kirk Johnson picked up a prescription from Dr. Schulenberg for Prince, saying that Prince had back problems. The medication was oxycodone and acetaminophen, basically Percocet, from Bloomington, Minnesota. Was basically the same place where Sean Powell also lived, what I find very odd. He got these from Michael Schulenberg, and he also had a prescription from Dr. Boo, the dentist, and that medication was Tylenol 3. This leads me to believe that Kirk Johnson was doctor shopping for Prince in order for him to get opioids. So Prince, Judith Hill, and Kirk Johnson hops on a private jet going to Atlanta. Kirk Johnson obtained his plane from Lifetime Fitness. During the concert, Prince sounded very well. There was no signs that he had a flu. Janelle Monáe and CeeLo Green attended the concert. They also met Prince backstage after the concert. CeeLo Green said that Prince said he wasn't feeling well and he wasn't going to do an after party and he was going to fly back to Minnesota. Another one of Prince's bodyguards, Renville Wellington, met up with him at the airport. He is a Canadian bodyguard that works for Prince for a couple years. There is an audio online out. I will put the link down in the description. Do you think that Prince had to counterfeit opioids before he got on the plane in Atlanta, or did he get it afterward? I've been trying to figure this out for a while now.
was it a male or female passenger? To my frequency 118.75.
Rough ET is safe. We're planning on this landing runway 27. We're just.
Maintain 3,000 now. Altimeter is 3012. SB 990 is VFR Moline. Expect a visual approach. The ILS 9 is on the air. Over at your discretion, advise if you're around if you'd like for a straight in for 9. 990 clear visual approach to the Quad City Airport. Kansas City 1947 Southwest. Have a great night. Checking in 350. Change advisory frequency is approved, and you can cancel it around in this frequency that will transmit there on the ground. You'll be able to reach me, and have a good evening.
The EMT immediately noticed that Prince's pupils were pinpoint. That means that he probably was having a drug overdose. So he gave him one shot of Narcan, and Prince didn't come to. So he asked, what did Prince take? Kirk said he takes an oxycodone after a concert. So he decides to give Prince another shot of Narcan, and Prince wakes up. And then they rush him to the hospital. The hospital was called Trinity Memorial Hospital in Rock Island, Illinois. Here you can see the video of when the ambulance took Prince to the hospital. Once Prince got to the emergency room, they asked Prince what he had taken. He said he had taken oxycodone, but he claimed he only took a couple. But the doctors seemed to think that he took more than that. So this is where the Bayer bottle came into play. Later on, Prince admitted that he took 2 oxycodone and 2 of something out of the Bayer bottle. And they took the Bayer bottle and they found the contents. What was inside of the Bayer bottle was what looked like hydrocodone. And the doctor told the nurse to go take it to the lab and get it tested. So the lab, they looked at the pill and they saw the stamp which said Watson 863, and they sent it back and said it was hydrocodone. During his stint in the hospital, Prince refused to get a blood test or blood work, possibly because he didn't want the doctors to know what he had taken. The Moline incident was the introduction into the contents inside of the Bayer bottle. Since Prince refused to get blood work, we don't know if fentanyl was in his body, but we do know days later that we found out the pills were certainly laced with fentanyl, and I believe that's why he overdosed. It was not the Percocet per se. Can we find any type of information just by looking at this bottle? So I decided to do some surgical. Well, we found the NDC code, so let's see when this bottle was manufactured. Maybe that can tell us a date or some time when the bottle was bought and manufactured and when Prince maybe obtained the bottle. This may be something, it may be nothing. From my research, I figured out that the bottle was probably made sometime in 2015. There you can see the code. But the thing is, we still can't find out where the contents of this bottle that was laced with fentanyl came from. January 11, 2015. So whoever bought this bottle, they bought it in 2015. Was it Prince's original bottle and then he took the pills and put it inside of the beer bottle and the leaf bottle? I just don't know. In the Walgreens video, I showed you guys there was a ring missing from the jury box, but I did not tell you that some of those pills were found inside of that jury box. These pills contain Norcos that was discontinued back in 2018. It also had a drug called U4700, which is called Pinky. The counterfeit drug also contained something called lidocaine, and these drugs had a mixture of something that they cannot find who pressed these pills, who had the pill press that was Watson 853. But we do know that they was made by somebody, but they weren't made by Watson. These were counterfeit pills. This combination can actually lead us to find out who killed Prince. This deadly combination was only exclusive to Prince in this investigation, and no other pills have been found in this combination throughout the United States as of 2018. Would you like to also help us find out what happened to Prince? QR code here.